you wanted the best, you've got the best podcast. The hottest podcast in the world. The Chris Voss Show, the preeminent podcast with guests so smart you may experience serious brain bleed. The CEOs, authors, thought leaders, visionaries, and motivators. Get ready. Strap yourself in. Keep your hands, arms, and legs inside the vehicle at all times, because you're about to go on a monster education roller coaster with your brain. Now, here's your host, Chris Voss.
I'm Moses Voss here from thechrisvossshow.com. There you go, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the show. We certainly appreciate you guys coming by. As always, the Chris Voss Show family is the family that loves you, but doesn't judge you, at least not as harshly as your mother-in-law. But you know how to get on good terms with your mother-in-law? I came up with this last show. Refer the show to her and her family and friends, and she'll love you much more, I'm sure. Or maybe not, but you can try. It's worth a try. Tell her and all your friends and relatives to go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTokity, Chris Voss Facebook.com, and all those crazy places on the interwebs in the sky. Today we have an amazing author on the show with us today. He's the author of the newest book that just came out November 30th, 2023, Breakthrough, Master Your Default Mode and Thrive. This is going to be a highly motivational show. We have Hosein Mayor on the show with us today. He's going to be talking to us about his latest book and everything that went into it, his insights, and he's going to be advising you on how you too can break through. He's also, on top of being an author, a physician, and scientist. So he's just not making this stuff like I would, folks. He knows stuff. He's been to schooling. He's had the schooling done. He is a doctor, a PhD, an author and physician scientist. He spent over 2 decades in cancer research and drug development. I did some drug development myself, but that was in high school. Thanks to his background, he recognized that was a funny one. He recognized the extraordinary ramifications of recent scientific discovery, the default mode network, DMN, which encodes the human ego and influences our thoughts, emotions, and behaviors. Recognizing the profound impact of this breakthrough on self-understanding, both from a clinical and personal experience, he wrote Breakthrough, Master Your Default Mode and Thrive to help readers master the DMN and live happier, more fulfilling lives. So anybody who doesn't want to live a happier, fulfilling life, you can just turn the show off right now, but it's just for the happy wannabes people. Welcome to the show. How are you, Hosein?
Thank you, Chris. Great to be here. And and it's Hosein Kouros Mayor. You're definitely not the first to mispronounce it, but great to be on this show.
Thank you for correcting me. So give us your .coms. Where do you want people to find you on the interwebs?
So it's simple. It's yourdefaultmode.com. And we'll be talking about that default mode network. So very simple to find.
There you go. So give us a 30,000 overview. What's inside your new book?
Yeah. So, I've been talking to folks over the last year, maybe about 200 of my, friends and colleagues, scientists, doctors, lawyers, and only a few of them have heard about this default mode network, which was really striking. So I really wrote this book to inform the public about this massively important discovery, which is the default mode network, which is essentially your wandering mind, right? So you've probably experienced it several times today already. You're focused on something, driving a car, brushing your teeth, and suddenly your mind wanders away from the present. Maybe takes you to the past, to an old conversation, or has you worried about the future. So that wandering mind, that is the default mode network.
Oh, really? That explains a lot. I have ADHD, so I have that problem where I'm talking to people and it's like, squirrel, that sort of thing. So is ADHD part of the whole network?
That's exactly right. So that default mode network is what pulls you away from the present moment. So it's a big driver of ADHD. It's also the DMN, as I call it. You'll find it in patients with depression, patients with addiction, patients who have PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. So when it's overactive, this default mode can cause us a lot of problems. But there are ways, as I talk about in the book, to silence it and to heal it. And that's really coming from a place of self-understanding. Yeah.
There you go. Well, that makes sense. What goes into it? How did you discover this? What was the thing that made you go, hey, whoa, this is a thing?
So, this has been popularized by a few people like Michael Pollan several years ago. He had a book called How to Change Your Mind. And the people who are into this new branch of plant medicines, there's a group of people who are looking to develop that for, patients with PTSD. So in that small community, they know about the default mode network, but I realize that most of the general public really isn't aware of this. And if you think about it, the DMN and the ego really sits at the intersection of science, medicine, but also spirituality and mental health. So it's a big discovery that I think is going to open the door over the next couple of decades to some new medicines and new ways of thinking about the human brain.
So there might be some ways to maybe fix stuff like better, like ADHD, or I don't know. Is part of it too, one of the things, well, you kind of refer to this, but one of the things that you have sometimes with depression or ADHD is your mind likes to beat up on you with thoughts like, hey, remember that one time in 1969 you were said something and hurt someone's feelings,
Exactly.
Beat you up with bad stuff you did. And the hardest part is learning to be present and going, hey, I can't change what happened there. Like,
exactly
why are you bugging me?
So that's right, and we call that the monkey mind. And for some people it is on all the time. I mean, you have unfortunately victims of war, let's say, and folks coming back from war that are never fully present. Their mind is always back in the past, and it can be a painful way to live. But the good news is that by understanding your default mode and healing it, you can actually, break through to a happier state. And so, in the book, it's really holistic in the sense I've got things in there related to therapeutic and non-therapeutic ways of doing this. So
like vodka? No.
Well, it's funny. Vodka.
I used to use vodka for the monkey brain.
it doesn't work quite well. Actually.
It doesn't, actually.
It might in the short term, but in the long run, it causes way more problems. But
I would agree.
I do talk about that in the book. But there are other ways of doing it, how to silence your default mode, mindfulness exercises, things like prayer, and there's many different kinds of mindfulness exercises. So, and
what about burning virgins at a bonfire or anything like that? Does that help?
Nothing that exciting, although, there's a part about plant medicine, psychedelics, and how
really? There you go.
They can be used. Yeah, actually,
there might be a goat sacrifice in there somewhere, maybe.
No goat sacrifice, but
damn it.
The funny thing here is, it's not quite funny, but if you look back at the use of plant medicines going back thousands of years, right, in among like Native American tribes, it turns out that what those plant medicines do, in part, is shutting down the default mode network.
Yeah.
And that's how they work.
Yeah.
And what we're doing now is trying to understand what is the actual medical value of these plant medicines. So there are folks like Rick Doblin working on this, and there might be FDA approval of some of these in the next year or so.
I think I had some burnouts as friends when I was a kid. Do people use that term anymore? It's so 80s.
Yeah.
I had some burnout friends who were doing a lot of testing and research, scientific, they said. I know pot does that to me. I think it does it to me, where it makes you just really calm and relax and kind of shuts down all the monkey stuff. I don't know. Do you find that's something that helps people?
Marijuana doesn't, as far as I know, does not impact the default mode network. It definitely calms you down. It triggers things like GABA, which is it's a neurotransmitter that calms you down. So it's been shown to help sleep. But in terms of that monkey mind, it doesn't quite affect that.
Wow. Now, I've learned a new term here. I take GABA to go to sleep. So, it's good stuff. I just take like a whole handful of pills and never mind. But GABA, and I think there's like a bunch of other stuff, melatonin, and there's like a whole cocktail that I take to go to sleep. That's all herbal, people. Don't get me wrong. But this is a new term I've learned, monkey mind. I've always wondered what that is, because there was once a time in my life where my ADHD and depression had gotten so bad after the death of my dog that the monkey mind was so out of hand, I was considering ending it. And I think that's how some people end up in that situation, where the only way you feel like you can get it to stop is to end your life, because the monkey mind is just whipping you relentlessly, and it's the only sanity you can get. And it's a weird place to be. I've got a chapter on emotional pain. It's a big topic all across the world right now, unfortunately. But, if it's, things like
prayer, things like mindfulness exercises
Mm-hmm.
definitely help. When you part of this is self-understanding, coming to realize and really learn how your brain is working and why this emotional pain is coming up. When
Mm-hmm.
you have that self-discovery, it can open things up. So, and really, this book is not an academic book. This is not a book about facts. This is a book about helping you self-discover and understand why your brain is doing what it does and to help you heal. So,
Mm-hmm. I imagine, admitting you have a problem or identifying it is the first step towards healing.
absolutely. Number one step is the intention. The intention that I want to heal. I want to be happy and healthy. Number two is self-understanding. And then number three is putting together a plan and implementing it. And you're not going to see a change overnight,
Mm-hmm.
but gradually you can completely overcome emotional pain.
There you go. You can beat back the monkeys. I'm thinking of who's that artist we had on? The Monkey on My Back song from
Get the monkey off your back.
Yeah. The guy from Genesis. I forget his name. But that song's going through my head now. It'll be there all week. Hey, is that part of it too? Whenever I get a song stuck in my head, like certain songs, if you hear them once, it's stuck in your head, like you're asleep at night and it's playing and you're just going insane from it. Is that part of the monkey brain too?
That's part of the monkey brain. So it could be a memory of anything. It could be a memory of a conversation you had as a kid with somebody.
Huh.
And what happens is sometimes that memory comes up and any emotion attached to that memory also comes up, which is why people who come back from war, they remember, but it takes them back to that raw emotion and it makes it so painful. Yeah.
You know what I was hearing the other day? I don't know if this applies to what you were talking about, the monkey brain, but and the connection to emotion and everything. But I was hearing that one of the things that was interesting about the Vietnam soldiers is when they were over there, they were doing like heroin and all sorts of shit. And when they came back, the military was like, hey, how do we get all these guys off heroin and get them straight again? And turns out taking them out of the environment that they were in, they all came back and were cleaned up. They didn't have to go through rehab or anything by putting them in a new environment that probably wasn't hellish like Vietnam. And they were also back with their family. So they had love and support and stuff. It's kind of an interesting conversation I heard.
That's interesting. I'm going to look that up. I actually wasn't aware of that. That's very interesting.
And so environment's a big deal. So like when you rehab addicts, they clean up when they're in the rehab, right? But then when you put them back in the environment, it's like being an alcoholic and you want to quit drinking, you have to quit going to the bar. You have to quit going to the environment. And so
that's right. There's a chapter on addiction. So addiction, there's a couple steps in it. Again, intention is number one. I want to get clean, right? That's front and center. What's most important in addiction, the first part is surrendering, right? And I try in the book, AA is there. There are Christian-based approaches. There are Buddhist-based approaches. There are approaches for non-religious people in there. It's the process of surrender is the same, whether you're Christian, Buddhist, non-religious. It's the same process. It's admitting to yourself that this is not working. I need a higher power to help me. And then after surrender, it's insight. It's relying on that higher power to give you the insight to lead you out of that darkness. So there's a whole chapter on it, but it's a very important topic. Yeah,
definitely. So is addiction part of that too? I know a lot of people that are addicted to drugs, they have trauma from childhood, sexual trauma, usually other sorts of trauma from childhood. And a lot of their drug use is trying to get that monkey brain off their back because it's just whipping them and driving them to constantly try and self-heal. Is that?
You nailed it.
Wow.
This is all interrelated.
Everything.
And people are all different, but for some people, the addiction comes from trying to medicate an unresolved emotional pain, right? A trauma. So this is all interrelated. And so the order that I call these knots, right? There's 11 knots in this book that you kind of break through. It starts off with stress, something that we all experience, and how to prevent stress from happening. And then the second chapter is on emotional pain. So that, once you overcome that old emotional pain, it helps you with the other knots. And actually addiction is number 3. And I call it addictive craving because not everyone's addicted to drugs. There's some people addicted to their phone. There's some people addicted to food. You're right. I mean, any number of things. So money,
gambling. I mean, geez, when I lived in Vegas, oh my God, people are addicted.
stock market. I mean, gaming. There's all kinds of addictions out there, but those are the big three: stress, emotional pain, addiction, and then the other knots. Once you unravel those, the others are a lot easier to undo. Yeah.
I stick to one addiction now: just coffee. That's how we roll. In the old age, we can't do any of the other stuff anymore. Our bodies, you're not doing that. It's going to be a very bad time for you if you have that vodka. So you just drink your little coffee, boy, and you have your water and your little vitamins and shut the hell up. And so we've come to that agreement on this. But no, I love this idea. Now, part of this, people talk about the ego self, and is there another self? There's the ego self, and then there's the conscious.
There is another self.
So how does that work?
Well, until now, these have been ideas that haven't been grounded in any science. So it's been called, the higher self and the ego and the id and the mind. There's been all these terms. The way I view it is you've got the default mode network on the one hand. It's the wandering mind. It's the monkey mind. On the other hand, I call it the observing mind. And there's a different network there. It's called the central executive network. When you're in that state, you're fully present. And it's called being in the zone, right? When you're in the zone, you're fully present. There's no mental chatter. There's no doubt. You just execute. And so I call that central executive. That's your higher self. And it is possible to go from default mode to central executive and spend most of your time being in the zone. It is absolutely possible to do that.
That's really where I like to be, is in that zone when you have command and control and that monkey brain isn't whipping you to death and everything. I really like that. Stoicism has really helped me with a lot of, I think, to fight the monkey brain, because when it comes around, I just run it off and I don't let, and part of it is controlling my emotions more through Stoicism. So
I love Stoicism. I've got quotes in there from Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor. What an enlightened person he was, So Stoicism.
I keep the book right here off the screen, so every now and then the monkey brain goes off. I look over and go, Stoicism, bitch.
Wow. Awesome. Which book is that?
It's Meditations.
Oh, I have that. I love that book.
Yeah, so I keep it right off to my left eye, so I can see it every day. And it just gives me a kind of like a little, I don't know what you call it, a mnemonic plug or whatever. And so anytime, something's going weird or something, I'll look over and I'll be like, okay, Stoicism, calm down, buddy. It's going to be fine. Right. And that's really helped me, the focusing on not controlling my emotions. And for those of you listening out there, I don't know what it is that I talk about Stoicism. They think that it teaches men not to have emotions. And it's not that. It's that men have logic and reason. We have the ability to filter our emotions. And so we can look, you can feel something and you go, why am I feeling this way? Is this necessary? Is this appropriate? Do I really need to, be over feeling this way? Or can we just go, well, that's great. You feel that way. And cool. All right. Well, we'll just work on that and fix that for you. Okay, buddy. And that's it. You don't have to go through, I don't have to become a Karen in a part, raging at somebody.
So there's a chapter in here on negativity and sort of judgmental thinking. And one of the big, the ways to heal that is through what's called equanimity, which is what the Stoics were all about. It's sort of be at ease with unease.
Yeah.
Right. Marcus Aurelius said, a man endures his pain and doesn't add to it.
Yeah.
And when you overcome that judgmental negative mind, it's an amazing release.
Oh, definitely is.
Yeah.
It definitely is. A mental calmness, composure, and evenness of temper, even in a difficult situation. This is why when you mostly meet guys who are meditations heavy readers, they'll always use the line, it is what it is. Because the line, I don't mean to be the professor on it is what it is, but basically what the line means is I accept what it is. Life isn't fair and there's bad shit that's going to happen. How I respond to it with logic and reason and the emotions I might be feeling is the important part, right?
Yeah.
So there you go. I love, go ahead.
I was just going to say, if you look across, what Buddha said, what Jesus said, they all say the same thing. I mean, they're saying in terms of reacting to things. Don't react. If you're in pain, experience your pain. You don't need to react against the pain. Buddha called that the second arrow that hits you after the first arrow. And so when you come to just experience unease for what it is, it can change your whole life outlook. So
yeah, and you could deal with pain because you can look at it and go, okay, I'm in pain, and this hurts, and I'm feeling a little emotional distress from it, but it's okay. We'll get through it. We'll take some aspirin and we'll do it. And we don't have to end up in a pool puddle of the fetal position over it, or hopefully it's not that bad of pain, but it can really help. And so do you think stoicism and being in that mindset puts you in that other brain, not the monkey brain? Would you say the command and control brain?
The central executive, the observing mind. Yeah, that's right. So when you're in that observing mind, sometimes when I go through pain or anxiety, I just really tune into it and I watch it. I just kind of like a scientist would watch, or just an observer would just kind of look at it. And what's amazing is sometimes I'll notice the pain is going up and going down, and then sometimes the pain just goes away. I'm like, well, where the hell did that go? It's pretty amazing.
Welcome to being 55. That's right. You wake up every day and you're just like, spin the wheel. What's going to hurt today? So it's not too bad. I love this, what you've discovered in this book and what you're talking about, because I've always, tried to figure out this ego stuff and the monkey brain. I mean, I kind of have it calmed down. It seems like the less I respond to it and the more I stall it. And when it comes, I've learned to listen. And so it's, that's you again. And you shut it down. It seems like that habit forms in getting it to diminish, or sustain.
What also helps is to understand, like, why the heck do we even have this default mode? What's the purpose of it?
Yeah. What is?
And it serves a really important purpose. I mean, this is how we, decide which memories to keep. This is how we process information and decide, let's say, which of our colleagues we should hang out with or avoid, and what things we should avoid. So the default mode network is important for us to actually live. And if people who don't have a default mode, so people with Alzheimer's disease, dementia, their default mode is not working and they can't form new memories. They have problems. So I think telling yourself that, oh, that's just my brain, it's wandering to protect me, and having some gratitude for it, it can change how you view that monkey mind. And rather than being angry when it shows up, being grateful when your observing mind is there. And I think that might be
so put a positive spin on it and say, I see what you're doing. You're trying to remind me of maybe a bad emotion I felt. And you're trying to protect me from having that again. Right?
That's right.
Yeah, there you go. God, I love this, man. You've really nailed on to something. Can we mail this book to everybody in America?
Please do.
Let's do it. I'm going to need somebody else's credit card. But no, I mean, this is why we do the show. So there was a question that I had for you. Oh, one of the problems I had with the ADHD was I would try and go to bed at night and my mind would just whip me relentlessly, probably the monkey brain, I'll ask you. And it would be reminding me of stuff that I need to do the next day. Don't forget to fire that person. Don't forget to write that email. Don't forget to do, and did you forget that? And it would drive me crazy, and it would become, I even had my ADHD so bad, I would go check the front door to make sure it was locked 20 times a night, check to make sure faucets are off, that sort of shit. And so is that part of the monkey brain? It's trying to help remind us of stuff
yeah, it sounds like an overactive monkey brain, right? So there is a chapter on sleep. There's and for what you're talking about, and also on diet and exercise, that's towards the end of the book. But I think in that case, what's happening in your brain, if it's really overactive, you've got a lot of glutamate, and what you got to do is turn on the GABA. You mentioned you take the GABA supplement.
I do now, yeah.
But the key there is to do what I call mindful relaxation. Give yourself 30 minutes to try to relax mindfully, which means whatever helps you relax. I don't know.
TikTok.
Going for a walk, taking a bath, or TikTok. Maybe not TikTok.
It's bad for you, I'll admit.
Yeah, that actually doesn't turn the GABA on. But whatever helps you relax, give yourself 20 minutes of that, and put the TikTok away, put the phone away for as long as you can. At first, that may only last a few seconds, but give it some practice. You'll be surprised. After a couple weeks, you can go 20 minutes without your phone, and I'm willing to bet you'll sleep better.
Yeah, one of the things I kind of beat the monkey brain in that way is I started writing down what it was reminding me of, and then didn't have to remind me anymore. It's okay, idiot boy, he's got shit written down, so he won't forget. That kind of helped. I don't know, but
yeah, maybe there's an underlying anxiety, right? So if you can write things down, if you can try to figure out what is causing this anxiety, address that. That could quiet the mind down. So there is a chapter on anxiety, and that's a big problem also. Huge.
There you go. And I think this could really help people that have suicidal issues. Like I honestly went to a really dark place years ago after the death of my dog, and then we lost the hard drive with a bunch of her pictures on it. And it was like a double drop kick, and I was just getting whipped, like just endlessly by that monkey brain. And I really believe, I've often wondered why people would consider suicide, because I mean, you're ending your life. It's, if I grab you by the throat, you're going to fight me off because you want to live. But I mean, for the body to turn on itself and go, we've had enough of you, that's quite an extraordinary feat, I think, that the body has to go through, or the mind has to go through. But it reached a point with the monkey brain that the whipping was just so hard 24/7 a day. And it was so much, and it was relentless. You reach the point where you're like, there's only one way out of this, is to shut off my brain. And
if it gets to that point, you've got to seek some professional help. You got to, talk to somebody about it. There are people out there wanting to help.
Yeah.
So just reach out, talk to somebody about it, get the advice of your doctor or a therapist. Get the help. You can't do everything yourself, right? So there's a lot in this book also about from getting help from therapists, cognitive behavioral therapy. There's a lot of options, and now a lot of it is online. It's a lot easier to access like psychotherapy online or access a therapist online.
That's true. You can do telemedicine now, huh?
Yeah, I mean, so a lot of employers provide that. So ask your human resources. Do they have any resources for you? But get that help.
Yeah.
Don't fight it alone.
Your book would have been great for that, in understanding it. I got lucky, and I had a friend on my podcast, and he introduced me to Eckhart Tolle and The Power of Now and becoming present. And that gave me the tools to fight out of the monkey brain and into the present. But, what you've identified goes much deeper than that, because that's just a process of trying to calm yourself
absolutely
down.
I love Eckhart Tolle. He's one of the, I consider him enlightened. And my contribution to it is sort of adding in the medicine and the science
And the mapping.
I don't want to diminish what he's done. He is my hero.
Yeah, but you've got the scientific approach, is the map of how it's all working in the brain and feeding, and the where, the when, and the why. Well, I mean, and I'm not discounting what Eckhart told us. He does a great job, but I love what you put in your book, and I think what I'm saying is, I think it really helped people that have suicidal tendencies and issues and trauma, and childhood trauma is such an interesting thing. It seems like people that suffer from trauma suffer in childhood, suffer a lot of this monkey brain the worst, I would suspect.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
It's it's a big problem globally. I mean, and I think it's a good time to return to center a little bit.
Yeah. And now that you kind of understand it, what you've described here on the show, and what I can understand about it is, you can see your brain, and okay, there's these different levels. I think I studied the ego a little bit, and how that kind of is a mucky thing for us to be mucking about with. It has, some demented perception of who we are, I guess. And, but understanding that there's that monkey brain, I didn't even know that was a term, the monkey brain. So I learned something new on the show, but it's quite the thing. What else haven't we talked about that you cover in the book?
One thing I wanted to say is I really designed this book for people who are maybe skeptical, they're maybe a little stubborn, they've tried Eckhart Tolle, they didn't quite get it, they've tried mindfulness, they just don't get it. What's the purpose of doing all that? I try to explain why all of this is actually important from a little bit of science, where, look, this is actually a signal in the brain. Take a look at this MRI. Look at it. I mean, it's something tangible. It's practical.
So it does show up.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. You know how it was discovered? They put some people in an MRI to sort of see what's going on in their head. And someone accidentally took a scan of somebody who was just kind of sitting there not doing anything. And they were surprised to see that the brain was lighting up, super active.
Wow.
And they're like, that's not what we thought should happen.
To show one of them monkey clappers and running around the brain, stuff like that.
Well, it turns out, I mean, our brains are never really at rest.
That's what's in mine.
There's always something going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. When we have dreams, it's basically it's the bored subconscious mind making movies to entertain itself, I think, or something. What's your take on that? And is that part of the monkey brain too?
Yeah, sleep is really fascinating. I mean, we're understanding what happens. It's clear there's different stages of sleep. There's REM sleep, which is where it looks like there's a lot of processing that's going on. Maybe we're deciding what memories to keep, what memories to and there's a part of the brain called the hippocampus. It's where all the memories are kept. So it looks like sleep is a way of processing everything that's happened to us during the day.
Yeah, I've had some girls call me hippocampus on Tinder. I'm not sure what that means, but might be a reference to my size. But yeah, I mean, there's all sorts of people believe. But to me, when you dream, it's fascinating how like my brain can make like movies like Spielberg type shit sometimes, and then of course it can make stupid shit like I don't know whatever. But it's interesting what it paints and the creative level. I'm like, I wish I could wake up, remember what that movie was, because that would have been a great horror movie or a great, Steven Spielberg type movie. And of course you feel it. So it's so real. Maybe running you through the feelings has something to do with what it's doing or something.
There are lots of scientists working on this. But what I will say is there's a lot of people who don't get enough quality sleep. They don't dream. They don't get that REM sleep. And if you don't get that REM sleep, it's actually pretty bad for your health. So sleep hygiene and being able to sleep through the night, critically important. And there's a section on that here. Yeah.
Maybe I don't know. I don't think there's any pain in healing when you're sleeping, but I know the body heals itself. Maybe it's part of that. It's to distract your brain from all the clanking of the working and reconstruction that's being done, the hammers and stuff. I don't know.
There's some of that too, for sure.
Yeah. But yeah, sleep is so important. I mean, I know that if I have these crazy vivid dreams, the worst ones are like my dogs have escaped and I can't find them and they're just around the corner and you're just, it's like that sort of thing. Anything to do with my dogs, which are my children, that just makes me mental. Dreams about my old set of dogs that I had, just stuff like that just kills you. And you wake up and you're like, you think you're still in it. And of course, usually if the pillow is covered in drool, then I know I had a good sleep. But usually those are the ones where I'm going to wake up and I'll be like, wow, that was terrifying. But thank God it's not real. And I slept really well. If I don't have those crazy ass dreams, then I usually don't sleep well.
But it sounds like you sleep pretty well overall, would you say?
Yeah. I use this company called 8 Sleep. And the 8 Sleep is a bed that it has a mattress cover and it'll heat up or cool down. And what's really cool is it has an AI in it. I'm doing a commercial. Can we get paid for this? Actually, they sent us to review. But I've had it for about 3 years now. We've upgraded a few different things, but it's got an AI in it. So what it does is it monitors your sleep for when you're in your deepest thing, and it will adjust the temperatures of the bed to get your hit points. So like yesterday I got a 93 quality sleep. I slept for 7.5 hours. Looks like I got about an hour and 31 minutes of REM sleep, 125 of deep sleep. And it's got like a little, I don't know if that'll pick that up, but you can see my ups and downs right there.
Wow.
And so it tells me exactly when I finally fell asleep. I think it gives me heartbeat and stuff. Yeah. Heart rate, HVR, breath rate, schedule consistency. It basically tells me I'm not dead yet. So there's that. But yeah, you're right. Sleep is so important. But yeah, that monkey brain running around in the background is something.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of people, millions of people who can't sleep through the night or they're waking up several times throughout the night. And I was one of those. I didn't sleep well. This was about a couple of years ago. And actually this book, a lot of it is sort of a personal journey over about 6 months where resolved a lot of the issues I had. And one of them was poor sleep. So I definitely don't take it for granted. Now I thankfully sleep well through the night, but
yeah. So I had that problem for a lot of years where if I woke up, the monkey brain would start up, and the bed really helps get me back into place. You know, that warmth, that heating, just melts you sometimes if you get in there. And then if it's like summer and it's hot, or if I come from the gym and I'm just like really blowing out my muscles and stuff, you can run it cool. But that thing really helps get you into a preparedness sort of on ramp or off ramp to fall into sleep. So I really like it. I think before that, I think one of the other problems where people have a problem is you can't wake up and look at your phone. That's like the one rule I have to have.
Absolutely.
That blue light hits you.
Exactly. That's a big issue right now. If you wake up and spend just 10 minutes doing exercises that kind of shut off that monkey mind for 10 minutes, turn on that observing mind, try it out. It actually affects your whole day.
Yeah. I was doing something over the summer. I can't do it in Utah anymore, but I was doing it over the summer when it was warm. And what I would do is I would wake up in the morning, and it serves several purposes. So I have 2 husky dogs, so they love to go play in the yard, and they love to spend time with me. And so what I would do is I wake up in the morning. I'd, of course, stumble like the bear that I am over to the coffee maker and try not to murder anybody between there and here and make my coffee. And then I would grab either Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, or Seneca. And I just randomly grab the books and a little highlighter. And then I go sit out in the sun to start my circadian rhythms and get my vitamin D. And so I'd sit out there for maybe 15, 20 minutes, play with my dogs. They'd be running around there all happy and crap. And then I would read, some passages to get my mind straight. And then I would come into my office and take kind of a command position in my office. It used to be I'd turn on my computer and just start getting blasted by all the emails. And now I'd sit at my desk and I'd play some nice piano music and just kind of get centered. And then I would turn on my computer and start going through stuff. And I would try and create this command and control position ahead of time so that I didn't feel like I was just getting bullwhipped every time I turned my computer on. And I don't know, it really seemed to help me at the time.
What I would recommend is take 10 minutes in the morning. The first thing to do is kind of just observe how you're feeling. Let's say your monkey mind is on. Just take a look at it for a few seconds. Try for 10 minutes. Try different types of exercises. You could try meditation. You could try a prayer. You could try reading. You could try some soft music. You could try a walk. There's hundreds of things you could try. And after 10 minutes, take a look at your brain again and see what changes took place. Find those things that help you the best.
There you go. Maybe I'll choke the person who bothers me between my bed and my coffee. No, there's nobody that does that. I live alone. But my girlfriends used to say that we avoid you when you wake up until you get your coffee. We just don't go near you. You're a bear, and we know we'll get the paw if we bug with you. So no one screws with you. You go about your.
Maybe your phone is what you need to choke. That's in the way.
That could be it, because sometimes I do look at my phone. Maybe I should just choke out the phone or turn it off, or throw it against the wall. That's probably a better use of the phone, especially when you're watching TikTok. But yeah, and then just going out and, like you say, having that peace or meditation. That was the thing. Being out in the fresh air and getting the vitamin D and letting that whole circadian rhythm start really helped me. And sometimes I wouldn't even maybe read. Sometimes I just kind of sit there and I'm just like, wow, have some gratitude. Or maybe gratitude is a good thing. That's good.
Gratitude is massive. There you go. You can just look up at the sky, have some gratitude for 5 minutes, see how you feel. I mean, it's an amazing thing. Yeah.
I have a gratitude Sunday every Sunday. Sunday is my day. There's date night on Fridays and Saturdays, and there's no women allowed in my life on Sunday. And so on Sunday is my day. So I go through my archives, I compile the pictures of my life. I go through and, I think about stuff that's going on, that went on through the week. And then it's kind of my day to check all the boxes and make sure everything's ready to go. It's like my flight check for the week. And then I start looking at my week and going, okay, what do we got? What's up this week, and what do we need to prepare for? And you start getting your mind. It's kind of going to the Super Bowl. You go, okay, so what mindset do I need to have, and what's our plays? And I find that really helps me. It really centers me for the week. It's kind of like a total gear down from the craziness of the prior week. And then it's like this peaceful meditation where I can just kind of sit there, and that way when I hit the ground on Monday, I'm not sitting there panicking going, what the fuck are we doing again?
Exactly.
Well,
yeah. I totally hear you. I do something similar on Sundays, but during the week, let's say, I'll just for a few minutes, just express some gratitude for just a couple of minutes throughout the day. Maybe it's a little prayer, maybe it's a little mindfulness, but just a couple minutes, and it does wonders. It doesn't have to be this whole half an hour thing. You don't have to go to some meditation center. Just a couple of minutes, have some gratitude. Maybe you're walking down the street, you see somebody walking towards you, and you just say, you give them some gratitude. You say, hey, I wish the best for you.
Yeah,
it could be simple, right? And little things like that actually can do wonders.
I do that on Facebook. I go, thank you for being a dumbass idiot, so I know that I'm still smart. Does that work? Is that supposed to work? I don't know.
I haven't tried that. No, of course I've tried that. That doesn't work so well.
Doesn't work so well? Well, I don't know. I seem to feel good after, so maybe I'll just stick with it. So there you go. Anything further you want to tease out to people about your book to get them to pick it up?
No, I've got a copy here. It's, I would welcome any thoughts on it. This is Rick Doblin endorsed it. So Rick Doblin is one of the, I call him a pioneer of modern medicine. This is the guy who's been working 50 years to bring things like MDMA assisted therapy to the market.
Oh, wow.
It's an honor to get his endorsement. And so, yeah, I just hope this book is meant to help some people out there. That's it. That's
I love it.
Yeah,
I love it. And I love the discussion we had on this where wish you could have been around in my 20s when I had really bad ADHD. Actually, in my teens when I had really ADHD, but I didn't understand what it was back then. I don't think a lot of people were really into it back then. I remember I think it was my late 20s, and I went into the doctor and I said, I think I'm having a brain hemorrhage. I don't know what's going on with me, cancer or something. And they go, no, you just have anxiety. And I'm like, yeah, I also have fear, anger, misery, but they had to explain what anxiety was for me. And I was like, oh, that's great. Just like what I needed. One more thing.
It's pretty common. I wish I had done this in, 20 years ago as well, but sometimes you got to go through that pain to really figure out who you are, right?
There you go. Well, I'll let your monkey brain kick you for that then. Why didn't I write that book sooner? There you go. So thank you very much for coming on the show. Give us your .coms so people can find you on the internet.
Yeah, it's yourdefaultmode.com.
There you go. The book is called Breakthrough, Master Your Default Mode and Thrive. And you certainly will after what we've talked about in the show. If you can master that monkey slinging poop from you, like at the zoo, into your brain, you don't want that. Folks, refer the show to your family, friends, and relatives. Go to goodreads.com/Chris Voss, LinkedIn.com/Chris Voss, Chris Voss 1 on the TikTok, and Chris Voss 1 on, I don't know, it's somewhere out there. Thanks for tuning in. Be good to each other. Stay safe. We'll see you guys next time.